Hello everybody, hope you're doing well. Welcome to ABBA to ZAPPA, meaning it is part O of my CD collection. So part O is going to be quite a short one because in this installment I've actually been able to hold my O collection in two hands. So this should be a shorter one, but you know me, I do waffle. I'm going to kick things off straight away with possibly one of the greatest new-ish artists going, Frank Ocean. And this is the one CD I own by him because I don't really feel like paying £300 for a physical copy of Blonde, but yeah, I'm a big fan, but not that big of a fan, sadly. Channel Orange is his debut album. He's very, very reclusive and quite shy from the media as Frank Ocean, which is kind of what is the reason why people are so obsessed with him, I think. And he's also got a small discography at the moment. He's got this, he's got Blonde, he's got that sort of video album thing, which I think has had a tentacle physical release, but again, I'm guessing it's on the heftier price side. And his mixtape, which he dropped I think a year before this, Nostalgia Ultra. So this is the only CD I own by him physically, but it's not a bad one just to own. So Channel Orange was actually one I tried after Blonde. I know most people it would be vice versa, but like Blonde is one of my favourite albums ever. And going into this was obviously a bit of a surprise in the other way because some people were expecting something a lot more popular with Blonde and got something quite minimalistic and stripped. And this was a nice surprise because I got the opposite surprise, you know. This one was a lot more colourful with great pop and R&B textures to it. And this obviously has his main hits. So even going by on the front here, Pyramids, absolutely brilliant, just like a magnum opus of alternative R&B, and there's just so many great tracks on here. It's a very, very cohesive, brilliant album. I prefer Blonde overall, but this has some of my favourite Ocean tracks, mainly Lost. I absolutely love that track. There's loads of tracks on here which I really, really like, but I still prefer Blonde, but absolutely I could not recommend this enough. It's a great, great album. Now with this one, it's yet another just one album from a band that I really enjoy actually. So this is Of Montreal, who are a psychedelic pop group mainly, but they are well known for being one of those great bands who dip their toes into a lot of different genres. But they're more well known for the neo-psychedelic sort of stuff. And this album, Hiss and Fauna, Are You the Destroyer, is actually an album I haven't listened to yet, which is a weird one. Basically, years and years ago, on their Bandcamp page, they'd done a big sale, and I thought what I'll do is I'm going to buy on Bandcamp digitally the albums which either are quite hard to find physically or ones that I don't know if I was going to love because they're not the most highly regarded albums by them, but still I'll support them obviously and try them out that way. And the ones which are more regarded as classics, I'll buy physically. And well, years come by and this is literally the only thing that I've dedicated myself to do, which is buying this on CD. And there is a few which I would like to buy on vinyl and such like that, but I've just never gotten around to looking into it, sadly. So digitally, I've owned probably about 5 or 6 albums by them and really enjoy. Had to do a cut there because I just wanted to quickly check my Bandcamp profile and say what I bought. And the ones which I've just looked into, they're not very high regarded, but I still really enjoy. Skeletal Lampin's the one I really enjoyed. If you like Prince, you've got to try that. Really enjoyed the Gay Parade. I really enjoyed the Bedside Drama. There's quite a few I bought, but I remember there were a few things on here which I've purposely missed out, like what was it? Satanic Panic in the Attic, for example. I was thinking I would really want to get that physically. And the debut, which is Cherry Peel, I thought that would be a really nice one to own physically. But like I say, sorry I've never gotten around to it, but I'm sure this is really good, and I'll try to get around to listening to this. Then we've got a legend in regards to progressive rock, Mike Oldfield. This guy was, I believe, 19 or maybe, I think 18, maybe even younger. I'm not sure when he worked on this. You know, just a brilliant album and an absolute classic. Tubular Bells, technically one track, and is well worth listening to. You know, everyone pretty much knows this song. You'll be thinking, well, I've never sat down and listened to like a 30-odd minute track. Well, you'll know it because the whole melody to it is from The Exorcist, and that is something that you will know because it's a bit like, you know, other classic horror themes like, you know, Halloween or Psycho, things like that. You will know it, but instead of being a couple of minutes long, it's a bit longer than that. And this is like a deluxe edition thing. I remember thinking, God, I'd love to own all these deluxe editions because he's got a few of these, and just never got round to it, sadly. But I'm sure, once again, a bit like of Montreal, he's got a huge discography, which many of which I will really enjoy. And this deluxe edition, it's not really anything special. It's just alternate mixes, basically, the whole thing. DVD with 5.1 surround sound. It's like, I'm probably not going to sit down and listen to it. Although saying that, I do remember years back I went to a friend's house when I bought this around like a week or so when I went round, and I brought it round because he had a 5.1 surround sound set up, and I think he just got it recently at that time, and I was like, oh, I know something to try. So that's Tubular Bells, but the one that I prefer, it's just the other one that I own, is On the Dawn, which I believe is the one that he made pretty recent after that album, and I prefer it a lot more because, I don't know, it's just, I think he becomes even more mature in his sound, more developed, and the whole thing's just really breezy and nice. The whole sound to it's got this very Celtic folk new age sound, which might sound a bit corny to some people, but it's just really comforting. And these bonus tracks are well worth trying out, because it's got In Dulce Jubileo, which is one of my favourite Christmas tunes ever, and as well as that, it's got, well, it's part of the main album, but I think it's actually separated too. It's got On Horseback, which is technically just a novelty track and novel in itself that Mike Oldfield, for once, actually sings. But I think he's got a really nice voice, and I love that song. It's really catchy, and again, it's just really feel good and carefree. It's that prime British carefreeness which I feel you really get in like the sort of late 60s to early 70s, where it's got, you know, a bit of humour and wit to it, but again, it's really breezy. Thinking of groups like the Kinks, stuff like that, you know. So I highly recommend this, especially if you've tried Tubular Bells and you don't know where to go from there. And like I say, there's loads of Mike Oldfield albums which I really need to get around trying, but that's the ones there for now. Right, here is a member of the Wu-Tang, sadly passed away, and although only released, I think, 2 albums, still cemented himself in being one of the most recognisable rappers, especially of the 90s. I'm talking about ODB, Old Dirty Bastard, and this is Return of the 36 Chambers, and the dirty version, excuse me. And again, it depends what you sort of like. I mean, some people might feel that when they're listening to Wu-Tang, his occasional, you know, vocals, are like obviously very madcap, but maybe you'd think I only like it in short installments and wouldn't like to listen to a full hour and a bit project, but I think it's great. I mean, this has Brooklyn Zoo, it has Shimmy Shimmy Ya, it has Protect Your Neck 2, The Zoo, it's got The Stomp, it's got so many classics on here, and it's well worth listening to, honestly. Really recommend that. The next things I'm holding in my hand here were very... I was lucky, basically, on eBay, and I saw someone selling this on an auction, had no bids, I put a bid in, and I won. I was really surprised. And this is One-A-Trick's Point Never, but it's a bit of a random collection of his stuff. So first off, we've got this, which is called Riffs, which is a 3 CD compilation of all of his earliest material, and especially that and this one, which I also own too, Returnal, is a lot different to that sort of vaporwave tinged sort of stuff that he done, you know, around his more popular era. This is more like a progressive electronic sort of sound, which all of it is really solid and really good. And alongside that, I got Replica autographed as well, so that's not bad at all. Signed, aye. So Replica is basically a modern electronic classic, and again is an absolute essential listen if you like your sort of, again, that sort of electronic sounds. And there's a few albums I still need to get around to listening to by him, and I know he's developed his sound even more to tie in loads of different other genres. But honestly, like, I mean, owning these is kind of enough really in itself. But yeah, really recommend One Tricks Point Never if you've never really tried much of his stuff. Okay, this might be one of the bigger surprises that you might see as owning in my collection, I suppose. Look, I always think do not have any whatsoever guilty pleasures. In fact, guilty pleasures shouldn't exist, you know. It just shouldn't exist. If you like the music, you like the music. Fuck it. So, who have I got here? Well, I own some Yoko Ono albums. So what made me try Yoko Ono? Well, forgetting that her material was recently remastered and re-released, I always have had a weird connection with artists, actors, anybody who is mostly regarded as being bad to the majority of the public, but has glimmers of hope, I suppose, when it comes to showing examples of them having talent or showing that they can do good things. Like a rubbish example, for example, is Adam Sandler. You know, like, yes, he's associated with so many known as crappy comedies, known as a sellout, known as plenty of names people have given him, but at the same time he's appeared and is the main actor in films like Uncut Gems, and the one I like to always go to is Punch Drunk Love, which is up there, one of my favourite films of all time. Anyways, Yoko Ono, if you're a Beatles fan, you know why she is a very controversial figure, known as Mrs. Screamy Lady, and of course she isn't not that, she is that basically. But I was always interested to see what her discography was like. So I own 2 albums by her. I will say, and I think it is re-released, the Yoko Ono Plastic Ono Band album I really enjoy, and that's like noise rock, proto-punk. It's actually a great listen, really recommend it. And the 2 albums I own here, which, like I say, recently remastered, bonus tracks and all that sort of stuff, which I always enjoy, is Fly and Approximately Infinite Universe. And on Fly, this is extremely strange. Very, very strange indeed. And, you know, if you're thinking this is what I expected Yoko Ono to sound like, you'll get a lot of that. But I think there is some great tracks on here. The first track, Midsummer New York, kind of blew us away when I first heard it. Other tracks which I really enjoy, Mrs. Lennon is amazing. Don't Worry Kyoko, of course, is kind of like a Yoko Ono classic, if you want to call it. But there's tracks like the title track, which is just, it's bad. There's Toilet Piece, which is just a toilet flushing. Make some jokes if you want there. And Telephone Piece, phone ringing, great. And Mine Train as well, which is a very long track, but I actually quite enjoy that. It's got a really good rhythm to it. So it's mixed bag, that one, but I thoroughly enjoy Approximately Infinite Universe, which is more like progressive art pop in a way, and actually has a lot of great tracks on here. And actually, I really recommend anybody to listen to this, especially if you're kind of thinking, Yoko Ono, like, go in with a sort of fresh pair of ears with this album. Just put it on and I think you will be pleasantly surprised. This is a huge album as well. It's like an hour and a half or something. There's loads and loads of tracks, but a lot of them, the majority, are actually really solid, and some of them go into great territories. So really recommend that. This is a mixed bag, but the tracks I gave a shout out to, I still recommend them. Right, I've only got 2 artists now to show you, but I own a few albums by both of them. So first one, Opeth, Swedish progressive metal group. I'm not too much of a fan of the newer progressive rock throwback stuff, but I really enjoy the early material. And even though I own 5 albums here, there's still a few that I want to try out. But anyways, so we've got Still Life, classic. Got the first one I tried, probably same for most people, Blackwater Park. And again, most people probably try this as the first track, but you've got to try Harvest. That's an amazing tune. We've got this one, which is Deliverance. This is a really good album as well. Another of my favourites actually is Damnation, which is mostly acoustic rock, but really, really recommend because it's just, the vocals brilliant, and it's just got this great gothic, melancholic sound to it. Really recommend that. This one's from 2008. This is Watershed. This is really good too. So I can't really vouch for the latest stuff, but it might be good, or it might not be my cup of tea, and it might appeal to other people. But I prefer the early material. And finally, last but certainly not least, Outkast. One of my favourite hip-hop groups ever, as it is for most people, I'm sure. And yeah, I'm just going to show off a few albums by them. For some reason, I'm missing an album here, which is weird, but I own quite a few. So the debut we've got here, I've never really learned to say it fluently. Southern Playlistic Music. Yeah, you have to say it like an Italian. Southern Playlistic Music. Shut the fuck up. Yeah, right. And so the debut kicks it off great straight away. Ain't No Thing. Hooty Hoo. Funky Ride. The title track, of course, yeah. Really solid album. Then we've got Aliens, which again has classic on here, like again the title track, but my favourite probably is Elevator's Main You. I love Babylon as well though. Millennium's great. Two Dope Boys in a Cadillac, great. Wheels of Steel, Jazzy Bell, loads of classics. My favourite, absolutely one of my favourite albums ever, Aquemini. Wow, like this blows me away listening to it now, but when this was released, like 96 or something, 98, it's just so ahead of its time. The production is absolutely incredible, and it's just amazing. I love this album so much. I used to listen to it so many times, and I haven't heard it for a few years, but the songs on here are like some of my favourite tracks ever. Return of the Gangster, Rosa Parks, of course, great track. Aquemini, the title track, is one of my favourites, absolutely. West Savannah, brilliant track. The Art of Storytelling, both parts, brilliant. And Sporty Oaty Doublelicious. When I first heard that, oh my god, that was my college jam, that. I used to walk around college just feeling like I was the man. Love that. Love this album. Absolutely one of my favourites ever. And this is the one that I got into by them. This is Stankonia. And one of the first hip-hop albums I ever bought, actually. I think I got it at, where was it? Like a pre-owned collection in Morrison's or something. Yeah, very strange. But some of my favourite tunes ever as well. Gasoline Dreams. Kick-ass tune there. So fresh, so clean. Love that. Miss Jackson, great. Spaghetti Junction, B.O.B, Explosion. Yeah, I could keep going on and on. I remember I gave this album to a cousin of mine, and he loved it, but now that I think about it, I think I gave him it when he was 12. I think that was a bit young for listening to something like this, but It's a good album. It's not like I made him listening to some rubbish. Anyways, on that note, I'm going to end it there. I really appreciate you guys once again for watching this. Thank you so much. And I hope it won't be too long for when I see you again, either in another review or maybe in part P. So, thanks again for watching, everybody. Hope you're taking care of yourselves. Bye for now.
Thanks for listening.